The Audio Drama Initiative presents Closing the Distance. Hi, I'm Lou Aronica. I'm co-producer of the Closing the Distance series. First off, I'd like to thank you for listening. Even if you've only heard one or two of these pieces, I hope they've been as edifying to you as they were to us to create. Now that we're at the end of season 1, and I definitely think there's going to be more than one season, because I think there's a lot more to talk about. We wanted to put a button on this first set of pieces. And so I wrote what you're about to hear. Now, this is a piece of fiction. I don't have a daughter named Allie, and none of the events that take place in this story actually took place. But when I was thinking about how do we address what we've been trying to address over these past 10 episodes, I thought that this structure, the idea of a big question and a feeble attempt at coming up with an answer, might be a useful way to reflect how so many of us are feeling right now, and certainly reflect the experiences that we were going through as we created this series. Now, all of the other pieces in this set have been performed by great actors. This one is not. This one is performed by me. I am not a great actor. You will learn that in a very few seconds. But because of what this story is, and because of the message of this story, it seemed more important for it to come from me directly than to be voiced by somebody else. So here we are with my presentation of, yeah, good question. We celebrated our third quarantine birthday in the family today. The weather is nicer, so we spent a lot of time outside, which made everything feel a bit more festive than the Parks and Rec marathon we did for my wife's birthday. My daughter Allie's favorite taco place has even reopened for outdoor dining, so we got to heat up the occasion with scorpion pepper salsa. We've always seen birthdays as an opportunity to reflect and ponder. One of our family traditions is to ask celebrants to identify their highs and lows for the past year. This is followed by their posing their big question for the coming year. When my oldest son was 4, his big question was, what do dogs talk about when there aren't any humans around? I'm not sure he entirely understood the concept. Today, as we were finishing our slices of tres leches cake, Allie asked a very different kind of big question. What is the other side of this going to look like? We spent the rest of dessert and the entire drive home discussing that question. And now, with everyone else having already gone to bed, I found I can't stop thinking about it. I turn on the TV, tune to Food 52, and let a recipe for chicken jalfrezi serve as underscore. We've had so many distances opened up in the past few months, and we've been more effective at closing some of these distances than others. But will we ever close all of them? And do we even want to? I've always defined myself as an optimist, even in the face of tragedy and crushing disappointment. My first thought when any crisis arises is, okay, how do we solve this and actually come out better? And since the virus started making its way across the world, I've continued to carry that thought in my head. Look, I'm not a Pollyanna. I know how much damage has been done and how much this has cost all of us. But that doesn't mean we can't learn from what we've been through and build from it. Right? So I choose to look at Allie's question from an optimist perspective. What is the other side of this going to look like? I think the workplace has probably changed forever, and that what we'll have when we finally get fully back to work is something that will be greatly beneficial to the work-life balance. Tens of millions of people are currently learning what work-at-home pros have known for a long time. The office environment is grossly inefficient. Between the time spent getting to the office, the time spent chatting up colleagues, the time spent sitting in conference rooms, and the time spent waiting for others to show up so you can bounce some ideas around, a huge part of the day is lost. A good friend of mine started working remotely for his company last year, and he swears that he gets more done in 4 hours than he used to get done in 10. He's been using the time he saved to learn Indian cooking and to become a CrossFit devotee to offset the calorie intake from all of that Indian cooking. I wonder if he knows how to make chicken jalfrezi. Allie comes down the stairs and walks into the family room. Scorpion peppers keeping you awake, she says. Something from dinner is, I reply. She nods toward the TV. Baked brie? I tell her that it was jalfrezi a few minutes ago, and we take turns speculating on what recipe will come up next. I'm going with ginger snaps for no good reason other than that I wouldn't mind having a ginger snap right now. Allie's convinced it's going to be a turnover of some sort, but she won't commit to sweet or savory. She sits next to me on the couch, and I wrap my arm around her. We used to do this all the time when she was younger. She was my Food Network buddy. I think we're going to cherish human touch in ways we haven't before. Sure, the cheek kiss is almost certainly going the way of the dodo, and casual handshakes are probably a thing of the past. But a good hug from a loved one? We're probably all guilty of taking them for granted, but not anymore. I saw a neighbor the other day while I was walking the dog, and she told me that the first thing she was going to do when the restrictions were lifted was wrap her arms around her adult daughter. Then she was going to scoop up her grandson and read him every picture book she could get her hands on. Yeah, I totally get it. My kids are going to hate how huggy I'm going to become. I need to go to the drugstore tomorrow to pick up my prescription, Allie says. Do you need anything? I ask her to get me some mouthwash while she's there. I still have about a quarter of a bottle left, but if she gets it now, that's one less trip we need to make to a store later. We're still being really cautious about that. I think we're going to get to the other side of this with an increased level of respect for the people who serve critical roles in our communities. Without question, everyone in the medical profession deserves our unending gratitude for their willingness to rush to the front lines. And the same is true for our first responders. However, to some degree, we already treated these people with the admiration and awe that they have coming to them. But grocery store clerks? Truck drivers? Delivery people? Farm workers? I don't think we'll ever look at them the same way again. And teachers? I'd like to believe that anyone who has ever had an inspiring one or has ever had their child's curiosity ignited by a great educator already knew how central teachers were to the progress of our culture. But after a few months of homeschooling, I think an entire generation of parents will from now on regard teachers as mystics possessing the rare magic required to keep a 7-year-old both seated and attentive. I remember the first, only time I tried to change the oil in my car. I'd seen mechanics do it, and I thought, how difficult could this possibly be? And I figured I'd save some money. A ruined shirt, 3 hours lost, and a stain on the driveway that was still there 20 years later gave me renewed appreciation for those who could do what I could not. I think all parents of school-aged children have had their oil change moment. Oh, and creative artists. What have all of us been doing since the quarantine started? We've been binging television, watching at-home concerts, and getting to all of those books on our to-be-read pile. In other words, we've been relying on creatives to get us through our days. Is there anyone left who still doesn't believe that the arts are essential to our humanity? I love this woman Allie says about the chef preparing shakshuka on the TV screen. Both of our guesses about the next recipe were way off. Do you know her story? She wrote her first cookbook while living in her car. I'd like to say that I think we'll have a greater propensity toward kindness. I'd like to say that. But there's an awful lot of evidence out there to suggest that such a prediction would be foolhardy. We really are revealed under pressure, aren't we? Still, I've seen an awful lot of genuine concern and expressions of goodwill in recent months, even from people who didn't show this before. Yes, I've seen plenty of ugliness. It's hard to miss. But I've also seen an expression of community, and it feels substantial and sustainable for the first time in decades. As I said, I'm an optimist. And I think the vast majority of us long for something good to come out of this shared experience of fear, hardship, and sadness. So maybe we won't be exponentially kinder to each other in the aggregate, but I think there's a decent chance that we'll be incrementally kinder. So why are you still up, Allie says, when the shakshuka demo is over? Someone put provocative ideas in my head tonight, I say. She chuckles. Did you come up with all of the answers? I came up with a number just a little smaller than all. She nudges me with her shoulder. And I used to think that you knew everything. Good question, though, right? I pull her a little closer. Yeah, good question. Yeah, Good Question was written and performed by Lou Aronica. It was directed by Mitchell Maxwell and produced by Lou Aronica and Mitchell Maxwell. The sound design is by Josh Milliken, and Carl Verwerk was the general manager. The song The In-Between was written by Casey Brevis and Sam Shuey and was performed by Alex Blue, Casey Brevis, and Sam Shuey. You can get it wherever music is sold or streamed. For a complete list of credits, visit us at audiodramainitiative.com.
I never really liked the quiet. I'd always choose the music and the crowd. But now the only voice I hear is whispering, slow down.
The little things you never notice, the comfort in the closeness of a hand, and all the ways we lead each other safely back to land. To understand, oh, that something happens in the in-between. The distance shows I've never known the forest for the trees.
It's beautiful and strange as something changes in the in-between.
The world that's right outside the window.
Have remembered mornings in the park,
And all the tiny messages you listen for in the dark.
I thought that I could be an island.
I thought that I could be an island. The things we blame just too little time. And suddenly you're staring down the heart of all you left behind.
Then you find, oh, that something happens in the in-between.
The distance shows I've never known the forest for the tree. It's beautiful and strange as something changes in the in-between. And all the fear that rises up
And all
inside,
the fear that rises up
the truth that seems impossible to know. The simplest things are what remind you to take a breath and let it go. Oh, that something happens in the
in-between. All the distance shows I've never known the forest for the trees.
and I believe the song keeps playing though we're standing still. A melody that's underneath a million little seas. It's beautiful and strange as
Something changes in the in-between.